Hello.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
My name's Core.
What happened to TrulyKore? This video's been kind of a long time coming. I wish I could say that I was out traversing some mountains or working on a massive project, but honestly, I've been sitting at home doing not much of anything. My bad. But the sun's out shining again, so I have the motivation to get out of my bed sooner than 1 p.m. There's a lot I want to talk about in this video, mostly about Roblox myths and the future of this channel. It's going to be a lot of talking about myself, so if that's not your thing, this video probably also won't be. In the background, I'll also be redesigning my YouTube persona, and I'll show the process of that a bit more in depth. For those who don't know, my name's Core, and I made a video about 2 years ago discussing the downfall of the Roblox myth community. It got a little traction, and more views than I'd ever experienced on YouTube before. For such a niche community, 38K was a lot. I realize now that it really wasn't, but it was a big deal for me at the time. Because of that video, I'd get recognized in most myth communities by a lot of people, and I was able to interact with and befriend some of the Roblox myths I'd grown up hunting. And then I kind of just stopped. And now I'm back. So, now that there's a bit of context, let's talk about why I disappeared and why I won't be making Roblox myths videos anymore. I hope it becomes clear that this isn't just a video of me whining. It also contains genuine criticisms of the myth community and the companies that provide the platforms to make these myths, primarily Roblox and YouTube. So let's get into it. Before I begin, I want to make it clear that this is not that serious. I realize that at the end of the day, there are 1,000 channels out there that upload on the daily, who work harder, and who have more passion and time than I do. I got really lucky with the cards I dealt myself, and my disappearance was my own choice. When I made the TrulyKore channel, I had a vision of where I wanted to take it, but that vision quickly faded as I reintroduced myself to myths. That's primarily because I realized that I was way too old to be playing on Roblox. I was 15 when I made the channel, and I was very excited to be back in my old interests, but I'd never stopped to consider why I'd left them behind in the first place. I met a lot of people, and quite a few of those people were really terrible. It felt like anytime I started a video about a myth, I had to scrap it just as quickly because I uncovered some sort of secret controversy that always made me feel like I couldn't support the creator anymore. It was always crazy, too. It was never something that could be forgivable. It was always like being a groomer, or something horrendous and despicable. Alternatively, I'd upload a video and then get to witness their downfall. Honestly, it kind of felt like a curse. I accumulated a whole ton of viewers for a short period, particularly in the niche community of Roblox myths. But I quickly came to find out that I had nothing to say. I had nothing to add to the discussions I was trying to join. I had no unique opinion. Most of the time, I felt like I was chewing up the same content in a script and figuring out how to spit it back out in a way that seemed just different enough to please the viewers I'd grown. I felt like I'd put myself into a box with this game. There are only so many commentary concepts I can come up with about a genre of games on Roblox, and I'd always had the goal to be a commentary channel. When I tried to branch out to other genres, the videos didn't perform nearly as well, and I beat myself up over it a lot. I began to hold myself to a standard that I could barely reach, and when I did, I'd push the standard even higher. This wasn't a bad thing necessarily, but it made me feel like a failure when something didn't turn out precisely the way I had imagined it would. This was especially true with my art, which was changing so fast that I would finish a YouTube video and then hate the art I'd created in the background so much that the video was ruined. Also, somehow, somebody on Discord was able to track down my IP address's location and then sent it to me. I wasn't prepared to handle any negative attention because up until I created this channel, my content had never received more than 100 views per video. I can still recall a time when getting 150 views was the best thing in the world to me, and it meant success. It made me sad to realize that that wasn't the most exciting thing for anymore. The numbers weren't fun, they were addicting. And if I wasn't doing well view-wise, I was mad at myself. It wasn't about creating on YouTube anymore, it was about being the best. And I think that's something not many content creators will talk about. It becomes encompassing. But when the TV is off and your phone's in your pocket, no one will know if you have 100 followers or 1,000,000. And I think that holding yourself to a high standard over something as arbitrary as followers is kind of silly now. I think it's stupid. I remember once someone told me that I shouldn't expect those kinds of views on all my videos, referring to the first video I'd made. And I remember thinking, that guy has no clue what he's talking about. I'm awesome. And then he turned out to be right, and my videos stopped doing as well, and I held it against myself, and I got angry. I thought it was my fault. I thought I was doing something wrong. If I'm being honest, this part of the script reads to me as very selfish and dumb. Of course, I wasn't some big-scale YouTuber with 1,000,000 views and a large audience. Like, in the grand scheme of the world, my influence had no meaning. And if this is the biggest issue I have in my life, then I must be living a pretty great life. And that's true, I am very lucky, but I also think this was and is important to me, so that's all the reasoning I need to talk about it. I realize now after a break from creating that it should never be about the numbers. I began TrulyKore for the same reason that I started a channel in 2019 about gacha life. I love YouTube, genuinely, and I want to create content on it. It comes from a belief that I have something important to contribute to this world artistically, that I have something to say and I just need somewhere to say it. It comes from me observing a world of injustice and silence and inaction. But the way I was viewing my channel wasn't going to help me make any sort of change. Having an inflated ego because of a Roblox video is, all in all, just kind of stupid. I had to take 9 months away to get a grip. That's really it. I just had to go. And where have I been since then? Oh, you know.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Busy. Now, before you run to press unsubscribe, this isn't really a goodbye to myths. There are 2 videos that I'm working on of myths that I've continued to hunt just because they're that great of stories. I have hours of footage and I just have to figure out the best way to present it as a video. I really do have faith in this community, and like I've said in videos before, I believe in Roblox being a platform to tell an immersive story on. There have been games in different genres that have had just the same impact as Roblox myths, just without the controversy and grooming. And there was so much grooming. Oh my god. I, personally, have been quite a fan of Dress to Impress's lore and their cutscenes. Similar storytelling methods have also been used in creature games and horror games, SCPs, and so much more. I'm also a firm believer in that whole to be cringe is to be free thing. If you want to make a Roblox myth, do it. If you're 17 and still into Roblox myths, be into them. Be weird. I'll never feel ashamed for making the content I did, even if it's time to move on now. Being strange and off-putting is awesome, and anyone who thinks differently is just a poser. I may continue to, in the future, hunt the occasional myth or two. There are plenty of ways to make a myth still fun and unique, so don't stop creating using Roblox as a medium. But, for the most part, my focus will be elsewhere. I have plenty of genuine things to say and observe about the world outside of Roblox, definitely including big corporations, which is what we're going to talk about next. Yay! I hope by now we're far enough into the video that YouTube won't take this down. But since I started content creating, one thing has become glaringly obvious to me. To get ahead, you have to climb the ladder. And what I mean by that is when I was trying my best to get the most views possible, it became clear to me what I was doing wrong. My titles weren't flashy enough, the thumbnails weren't bright enough, the bait wasn't clicky enough, it wasn't shiny enough, it needed more videos, more shorts, otherwise the algorithm will lose favor with your videos and you won't receive any views. In order to get ahead, you have to climb up the ladder. This means stepping on people. It means stealing ideas and stirring the pot, sneaking around. It means using whatever methods you can to get the best views possible. This is true no matter your niche of YouTube. It feels like a system made to fail, one that's a direct result of the era of YouTube some refer to as the Mr. Beastification. I'd go as far as to argue that many other YouTubers contribute to this sort of grind mentality, but Mr. Beast is definitely the biggest example. Trying to be a popular YouTuber means looking in the mirror and asking yourself, how far are you willing to go to receive internet attention? There's a number of YouTubers that put their dignity aside to receive a paycheck fatter than they've ever dreamed. It's become a world where money is the priority, not creativity like it was back in the day. Back in my day. No, I'm talking about like 2018. I feel like before YouTube started getting more money off videos. I feel like instead, the question should be, when you turn off your PC and you lay in bed at night, are you happy with yourself? Are you satisfied with the work you spend your days doing? When your life flashes by, what will your 7 minutes consist of? Reaction gifs and begging for likes on lives? Brain rotting the future generations with flashing colors and psychology? I feel like the internet has grown so large that we forget to stop and look at what's outside of it. And that's part of why I grew to despise creating videos on the YouTube platform, despite loving the making of them. Another thing I noticed during my grind maxing alpha mindset phase was something much more disturbing. Something I don't see being talked about enough on this platform, but that is partially due to censorship. Thousands of channels deliberately put the wellness of children at risk. First, there are family content farms. Children who are growing up in front of a camera born clocked in. Their shift doesn't end until their parents' phones are turned off for the night and they're able to sleep in silence. And even that's not a guarantee. One of the most popular, or I should say infamous, examples of this genre going massively wrong is the 8 Passengers YouTube channel, created by Ruby Frankie, who vlogged the detailed abuse of her 6 children while encouraging the treatment as discipline on podcasts and their YouTube channel. Now, Ruby Frankie is in prison for 6 counts of aggravated child abuse, and I hope she stays there for all 60 years of her sentence. Thank you very much. Or maybe, instead, we could talk about the mommy and daddy vloggers, Micah and James Stauffer, I hope I'm saying that correctly, but I don't really care, who returned their adopted autistic son Huxley after learning of his disabilities and deeming themselves unable to take care of the needs he had that they were not aware of. And they vlogged it. They returned their son because of an autism diagnosis and vlogged it. You literally can't make this up.
Do I feel like a failure as a mom? Like 500%.
The point of these channels is not to highlight the everyday routines of a family of 6 living in a van, or the process of adopting a disabled child and caring for him and meeting his needs. It's about profit. And YouTube knowingly allows it to happen on their platform The absolute lack of workers' rights and compensation is the salt in the wound for these children who have to grow up with their personal lives broadcast for the eyes of the internet. And who knows where that footage ends up? This brings me to arguably the darkest side of YouTube, which is this kind of content. Horrifically so, sometimes this kind of content will overlap with the family vlogger genre. I really hope you can understand what I'm saying here without me having to actually say it. Many channels would place money over the safety and dignity of the children they're caring for. It's bad enough when they put themselves at risk for fame and views, but it's despicable when they choose money over the safety of the children they're supposedly guardians of. The channels that perform this kind of content without involving children are still endangering kids, but in a different way. There are just so many odd things that happen in YouTube videos, things that can only rationally be explained as this kind of content. A whole bunch of weird shit. It's just so gross. There are also channels that are still advertising to children, but including grotesque thumbnails or themes, ones that children should definitely not be exposed to. There's a great video made by Caleb Salty on this, where he goes into depth about the way YouTube Kids is not at all made for kids, and how predators will slip through the gate by using games like Minecraft, or, you guessed it, yeah, it's Roblox. There are so many groomers on that game. It's really just disgusting, honestly. And I'll link the video down below because he really puts it into better words than I could ever. All of these issues with YouTube have one thing in common. Actively, in many ways, YouTube is a very dangerous place for a child to be. And instead of trying to fix these issues, the platform gives these people the means to harm children in some manner. When creators speak out against it, like Caleb Salty, they're met with channel strikes and demonetization. This platform actively facilitates this content because of the ad revenue that comes out of it. Time and time again, I've watched them place money above the wellness of their users with no accountability, and it makes me angry. Roblox is almost the same story. A large platform where people will complain about an issue, particularly one that endangers children, and it's only ever addressed when enough people start to notice. I've talked personally about this before, but the grooming problem on Roblox is actually crazy. I've never seen a platform that more predators will rush to if they want first-hand access to these children. I know this because at one point I was one of those kids. Roblox has finally taken measures to address this, but it wasn't always like that, and a lot of kids got hurt, all the while they were making money. Realizing all of this forced me to stop and consider if uploading to YouTube, especially about Roblox, is ethical to do. But I mean, if we're being honest, all big corporations are profiting off the harm of the general populace in some way. Whether that's pollution in our drinking water, or holes in our ozone, or thousands of acres of old-growth trees cleared for oil drilling, if you're not a 1%er, there's a pretty likely chance that your life has been negatively impacted in some way by the corporations that continue to choose profit over our health. It's an issue that transcends YouTube and Roblox, and not something that I could ever stop simply by choosing to stay silent. That's why, despite all my criticisms and kicking and screaming about this platform, I'm going to continue to upload on it and try to improve it while doing so. I hope if enough people start to complain about these issues, more things will be done to keep the kids on YouTube safe. And that's as content creators and as viewers. So, what's in the future for the channel? Well, nowhere but up, honestly. I have a few videos lined up, ones that I think will be a very interesting watch and well worth the wait. I plan to make a documentary about Bigfoot, where I'll go and actually investigate places he's been spotted. I've already started work on that one. I've also been working on the storyline behind the channel, the one teased in any animatics you may have seen me upload in the past. We just recently finished writing out this concept, and it's going to be very, very fun to work on this summer. For all of my whining, I really do appreciate the support Robloxmiths gave me. But I hope my whining at least made sense. I hope you understood the logic behind it. Also, here's the final product of my redesign. Yay! My character is based on the Jersey Devil, so I added horns to make them look a bit more devilish. And I changed the hair a bit, otherwise the design kind of stayed the same, so I guess it wasn't really a redesign. But I think I've yapped enough for today. So, be safe, drive safe, and I will see you next time.